Okay, so today I am going to be chatting about gadgets, pieces of exercise equipment, things that you might need that really make a difference, and those that are a waste of time. Okay, let's get into this. So let's have a quick chat about it. That's my rebounder. I've just noticed there's something really weird behind me. I'm going to actually move over here. I just realized that in that, there's my hummingbird feeder. And then where I was before, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's the electrical box behind me. Not very attractive, right? So anyway, I'm in my backyard. I'm Sophie. Hi. And I was just rebounding. And a rebounder, by the way, is one of the very few pieces of exercise equipment that I think is really, really, really worth having. And I'll get to that in a moment. But on this video, I just really wanted to talk about things that are kind of worth having, I think, in terms of getting into the best shape of your life and staying there, and things that really aren't, that are a waste of time and a waste of money. And goodness knows now, I see so many things, because I pop onto YouTube every now and again, obviously to answer your questions and comments and whatnot. And when I'm on, I'll see these new things, these new ads for sort of various different sort of gadgets and gizmos and things for weight loss or getting into shape, very often for weight loss, because being a weight management specialist and a mindset coach, that's the stuff that I kind of, comes into me. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, another thing that is going to gather dust. If I got it, it would gather dust. And there's so many things now. There's so many wearables and rings and tracking devices to track your metabolism or hack your microbiome. And trust me, this space is only going to get more and more crowded as time goes on. But let's really get down to the basics here. Let's just look at what really works, because it's the kind of new and shiny syndrome, right? And sometimes I call it the sugar highs. It's the quick fixes or the sugar highs, meaning it's like, oh, I'm going to get this thing and this new thing, and it's going to help me to sleep at night, or it's going to help me to suddenly figure out my metabolism, and then everything is going to be good. And once my metabolism is figured out, all will be well. Or it's going to help me to suddenly I'm going to get this exercise piece of equipment, this bike, whatever it is, and suddenly I'm going to be dialed in and be motivated every day. Or I'm going to take this supplement or this new powder. There are some of the things that I've seen. I think it's called like the poop shake or something. Oh, and you see it on Instagram, and I drank this one shake and lost 20 pounds. And it goes on and on, doesn't it? We're in the land of silly now, and I seem to have. My husband says I sort of have a permanent eye roll, and I do, but it's only because, having been in this space for 2 decades now, honestly, I just really want to look at what really works and what doesn't work, and what's the heavy lifting, and that really is going to make a difference for you. And let's just cut to the chase and look at that. So, really, truly, when we look at all of those things, and what I want you to do in this video is to be brutally honest. Put in the comments below this video what for you that you've tried or got or purchased or whatever is gathering dust. I call it gathering dust. And what I mean by gathering dust is, sorry, my dogs are barking right now. What I mean by gathering dust is the sort of thing that is you're basically not using anymore. So whether it's a elliptical bicycle, a standing bicycle, what are some of the other things I hear? A Pilates machine. So it could be some kind of exercise equipment. It could be a powder. It could be a supplement. Hello, can you remember the keto pills? That was a couple of years ago. It could be you've been to a functional doctor and you've gotten masses of supplements, or a naturopathic doctor. And the thing that I want to ask you to ask yourself is, 1, are those things gathering dust? That's the first question. Or 2, are they working? Is it delivering a result to you? Have you got the result that you hope for? Meaning, have you released a lot of weight? And I'm talking about, every bit of weight that you wanted to release, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds, etc. Is it doing that? Has it done that? Or not? It could be a diet book. It could be a CD back in the day, or DVD collection. So That's what I really want you to be honest about, because I think it's really good to really look at those things and be really honest about them. Because when we buy them and when they're on offer, it's intriguing, isn't it? It's like you see all the ads and it's like, oh my gosh, all these people are getting results, or so they say they are. And then it's like, oh, and it's, you know, it's not that expensive, right? I can kind of afford, afford that. But here's the thing, it's expensive if it doesn't work. Does it cost a lot? Well, yeah, if it doesn't work and if you've got a bunch of those things. And the real cost that I always say to everybody is, the real cost is, how many years have you been struggling, and how many years have whatever you've been doing not working? There's a real cost, right? And another cost is, if you don't really fix it and do the heavy lifting now, how many more years of misery and ill health is that going to, and not having confidence, is that going to cost you? So you want to really start taking things apart and not looking always for the quick, inexpensive bargain, because if it doesn't work, then it's very expensive, as far as I'm concerned, both for you mentally, emotionally, and an actual, cost. So let's just quickly look. So let's get that going. I don't want to throw actual gadgets and devices. You've seen them all, haven't you? The things that track your metabolism, the things that the wearables. There are lots and lots of different wearables now. Now, in terms of wearables, I'm just going to tell you what I have that works in terms of kind of if there's a gadget or whatever, and then I want you to let me know in the comments what is working for you, meaning it's working, you are losing a significant amount of weight and getting into the best shape of your life and dropping your fat, and be really honest about that. But more importantly, what is gathering dust? That's what I want to know. So for me, I do have a fitness tracker. This is not an Apple Watch, it's a Fitbit. And the only way I use it, and the reason I use it consistently, is because I like to check my heart rate. I like to try and get into my training zone, my heart training zone every day. And so it's a really good way of me just checking that, when I'm doing my exercises. And the other reason is because it's kind of useful just for me to see how many steps. But honestly, if you've got an iPhone, or most smartphones, will check your steps anyway. So if you are training and it's like a heart rate monitor, it is useful, some of these. This is the Fitbit Sense, and a lot of all the new Apple Watches have a way that you can check your training. Sorry, my dogs will stop barking in a moment. I think my husband's feeding them and they go ballistic. Oh my God, I can hear Sunshine. She really goes ballistic, so excuse me. But if it's not dogs barking in my world, it's helicopters going over, because I live in the middle of Los Angeles. So they are useful. They really are useful, some of those fitness trackers, for that. Okay, so that's one reason that you could be using it. But obviously, if you're just checking your steps, whatever. Now, another thing is, it's just sparked my thought process here on this, is there's a lot of measurements that you're probably not going to use and are kind of a little bit useful. So don't be sold on, oh, you can check this and this and this and this and this. Are you really going to be checking in on that every day? Probably not. The other thing is like some of the really fancy scales now, weighing scales that have all those measurements on them. Are they accurate? Not really. So you could have a really basic pair of scales, and a tape measure is even more significant when it comes to really seeing results, because it's not the number on the scale, ladies and gents. It is, let's really talk about inches off your waist. That's where the rubber really meets the road. And that's why so many of the low carb and keto-esque diets don't work, because you can get some weight loss on the scale initially, which is a lot of water weight and actually is lean muscle mass. But then let's really talk about getting rid of the belly fat and inches off your waist. So tape measure. So that's the only gadgets that I use. And also, I think some of the gadgets can be useful for sleep as well. Can be. But again, for me, honestly, it's like I can tell how long I sleep. I go to bed, I know what time I go to sleep, and I know what time I wake up. Do I need to know how many REM and in and out and quality of sleep? Not really. I mean, I might change, maybe in a few years' time, I'll suddenly go, oh my gosh, I need to know every single piece about how I'm sleeping, when I'm sleeping, whatever. I absolutely stand to be corrected, but right now, I know what time I go to bed, and I know what time I wake up, and I also know how to change my whole nighttime routine that allows me to get a much better night's sleep. So what I teach my clients is morning, evening routine, and morning routine, and it's a huge part of what I coach on. But it's simple, it's basic, no gadgets required. The other thing that I use over and over again is my rebounder that I was rebounding at the beginning of this video. And a simple mini trampoline or a rebounder, I think, is one of the most valuable pieces of exercise equipment. Personally, I use mine every single day, rain or shine, because I can take it inside or outside. I did have a big old one that I used for years and years that had springs, and it did get rusty. And then somebody saw me, this company called Leaps and Rebounds, saw me doing a video, a YouTube, Instagram or something, and they said, oh, you need a better rebounder. So they sent me one, and I tested it out, which is the one that I was using at the beginning of this video, and it's with bungees, and it's a whole entirely different experience. They are right, it is a lot better, and I will link to that particular rebounder underneath this video because it is awesome. So rebounder, fitness tracker, for checking. I do think the most important thing is checking heart rate if it's not in your smartphone, because you do want to try and get into your training zone every day. And then I have various little, fitness bands, resistance bands, dumbbells, things around the home, because I tend to turn my home and my garden, my yard, I should say. In America, in England, we call it a garden. In America, it's called a yard, into a gym, into a home gym. It's part of what I do. It's part of what I coach on. Because if it requires going to the gym, then it's not going to happen very often for me, or making a class that, all bets are out, and it takes too much time for me to get there, park, and do it. So how we roll with me and my clients is that we turn our environment into a fitness zone. So that's it. So I'm going to stop rabbiting on here, but in as much to say, I'm very down to earth with what we need. I don't think you need a lot of this stuff. So let me know, but I stand to be corrected. I'm really eager to hear your comments. If you go, oh, Sophie, you're completely wrong. You need to have an Aura ring, or it's changed my life, or I don't know, whatever it is. Let me know. Let everybody know, and we can start looking at that. But I'm telling you what I do to keep fit, to keep in the best shape of my life, and my clients, to keep them in the best shape of their life as well. And I don't think it requires a lot of all that stuff. So that's all I've got today. I will see you next time.